through October is a budgetary surplus of $187,000, which is mostly made up of $140,000 from FEMA, which we will be receiving for expenses related to Storm Isaias. That will bring our fund balance to $6.5 million, or just over 12.5%. We did receive $15,000 extra in pilot funds from the state of Connecticut as well. We have a deficit in investment income. We predicted or budgeted a little higher on that, hoping the rates would come up. They have not yet. So we are in a deficit of $40,000. Department charges are expected are projected to have a surplus of $50,000. It's mainly due to increased activity in conveyance fees and building permits. Both of those seem to be doing well, which is an indicator of the activity that we've been seeing in the town. And finally, the employee benefits has a slight surplus of $20,000. Those are our main items. The rest of the budgetary items are pretty much on target thus far.
Okay. And Susan is now with us. Any questions for Tony? No. Okay. Status of the fiscal year 21 audits, Tony.
They completed the field work RSM at the last week of October, and they are currently working on a draft. I was told I'd have a draft by Thanksgiving, and so they're working on that currently. And once I have the draft, I just have to finish up the statistical section in the back and do a couple of letters, an analysis page, and then it should be complete.
Okay. Item C, Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report. Tom, I'm assuming you're going to talk about this because it certainly isn't pretty.
That is true. You want me to do it now, or are we going to wait till?
No, we'll do it under liaison.
Okay.
Okay. Capital budget meetings, Thursday, December 7th, and Tuesday. Do we need both, Karen? Do you know, or both?
Yes,
scheduled?
we do.
Using both? Okay.
Yes.
Have we decided yet if we're going to do them live? I mean, or we're going to do them in person, or what?
That would be up to this board, and because I believe they're your meetings,
right?
And so just as we cannot fit everybody from both boards, along with Karen and myself, in the main meeting room with the space that we have.
Okay.
So if we were to do them live, we'd have to secure an alternate location.
All righty.
Then Pua can't tape it live. I mean, show it live. It would have to be taped and then played after. Okay. But we can do that. Yeah.
All right, then we'll talk about that under item 7. Anything else? No. Next is funding requests. I think we have a couple. The first is a transfer, a line item transfer to replace a pump. I guess there's 2 pumps over there, and not like the country club. We have the same thing at the country club. There's 2 pumps. One is a spare, and one is and when one fails, the other one works. So we got to have 2, so we don't have a failure. So is that correct, Tony?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so one of them has gone down, and so we'd like to fix so if the second one goes down, it's actually older than the one that went down.
Okay.
If the second one goes down, then we would have no pump at the pool.
No pump at the pool. Okay.
Right, so we'd have no pool.
Well, I will move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-03 in the amount of $10,000.
Hold on the chair.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion at all? I guess if we don't do this and number 2 fails, we're going to shut the pool down, so.
That's basically it, right?
Okay. Nothing? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Tom?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Donovan, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Aye.
Susan, yes. Okay, so it's unanimous. Second, is a deficit in insurance premiums mainly due to unanticipated increases in cybersecurity and umbrella coverage. The funds will come from workman's compensation experience some savings. So this is again, a line item transfer from workers' comp to insurance in the amount of 15,000. And I will move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-04 in the amount of $15,000.
I second it.
Okay. Anything you want to mention on that, Tony, or is it pretty?
I would just mention that the cybersecurity insurance market is going crazy at the moment.
Really?
And it's tightening up significantly. There are a lot fewer insurers in the market, and the claims and the rates are out of sight.
Really?
You could guess why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Tony on this?
Is this coverage, Tony, for a year?
Correct. It's through June 30.
Anybody else? Okay. I'm a yes. Dwight?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Oh, we got your picture. I mean, you finished eating?
Yeah. I moved.
Tom?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes, but is it too late to ask a question of Tony about this?
No, go ahead. Well, let me just get done.
I'm
Donna,
wondering-
you yes?
Yes, I'm yes, no matter what, but
Okay.
I am wondering whether or not there's a consortium of towns and municipalities who are thinking ahead to getting some sort of cybersecurity insurance pricing to benefit municipalities, and whether CCM is working on that.
So what I can tell you is that our broker, who has about 20 to 25 municipalities, does price this as a group.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
yeah, the pricing as a group, but we all are based off our own experience. So we don't share our experience necessarily, which is good for us, but
It's good. It's good for other people. It's not good for us.
Well, it's good. We don't want to share. We don't want to share others. Other towns have had a lot worse experience than we have.
Right. So we're being priced based on their negative experiences.
We're not.
Insurance distributes the risk, does it not? We don't have to go into it tonight, but you see what I'm asking.
At a macro level, yes,
Okay.
but not in this particular.
Right. I got you. Okay. Okay.
I just want Donovan, were you a yes on this one?
Yes, but it's a pretty easy question. Cybersecurity insurance. What is that?
So basically, what it covers is if we have a data breach or a ransom attack or any sort of cybersecurity issue, it covers the legal expenditures that we may have as a result of that breach. It covers any IT costs related to restoring your systems, or data recovery. If we have to give credit, extend credit, protection, and it used to cover. I'm not sure this. Probably in the future too. It also covers ransom payments, but I'm not sure. They're putting a lot of restrictions on those, so I'm not sure if that coverage will be as it used to. But I think for the moment, it still covers ransom payments up to a certain amount.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're unanimous. Item 4 is approval of minutes. The first set of minutes is from our regular monthly meeting on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and I will move acceptance of the minutes of October 21st, 2021 as presented.
I'll second.
Any corrections or adjustments or suggestions?
No.
Okay. All those in favor? I'm yes. Donovan? Yes. Ellen, yes. Susan,
Yes.
yes. Tom,
Yes.
yes. And
I'm
Dwight,
gonna
yes.
I'm gonna abstain, Matt, because I wasn't at that meeting. So
Oh, okay, Tom's abstaining. Okay, next is the special meeting, October 25th, with the Housing Study Committee. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of the special meeting of October 25th, 2021 as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on these? Okay. All those in favor, I will abstain, I wasn't there. Tom, yes.
Yes.
Donovan. Dwight,
Yes.
Susan, yes. Ellen, yes.
Was I don't think, was I there?
Let's see.
You were excused. Ellen, you were excused.
Yeah, you were excused, right?
Yeah, so I'll abstain.
You'll
I
abstain
thought I
also.
wasn't there.
It's 402. All right. Next is proposed meeting dates. These are all the meetings for the year 2022.
You don't have to vote on it tonight, right, Karen?
No, we don't have to do anything with this, right?
Wait till December to vote on them. And the first meeting in January has already been approved, so
Okay,
if it goes to January, we're all
Mhm.
set.
okay, good. All right, number 6, presentation of virtual budget book. Tony,
Okay.
you?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So Karen and I have been working on a virtual budget book for the past few months. Karen, if you would share my screen. So the town participates in a nationally recognized budget award program from Government Finance Officers Association. And the goal of the program and the goal of the town is to provide a budget that serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communication device. So those are the 4 sort of categories that the budget should serve. And our goal is always to be as transparent as possible and inform the public of how their dollars are being spent and be part, so they can be part of the process. So this takes a giant step forward in that regard.
Tony, I just think it's so great that you're doing this. Thank you. And oops, I lost you guys.
Can you see it now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought I lost you. Yeah. Well, I see Beth's report now to the town.
Okay, so if you can all see the virtual budget book is an online budget book. So it's got several categories, which you can see up on the top here where my cursor is. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's got the introduction, which is basically an introduction to the town. It's got an overview of the budget, which is a lot of summary information. It's got a summary of the general fund. It's got funding sources. It's got expenditures by town department, education, 6-year capital plan, and of course, my favorite, debt and related fiscal indicators. So each one tells a lot of information about the budget. For instance, in the introduction, it has history of Woodbridge, which Sheila helped us put together. Hopefully this comes up soon. A little delay in the, here we go. So it's got a town history. It's got some photos, and embedded in a lot of the articles and in a lot of the information are links. So here you can hit a link and go to the Thomas Darling House Museum. Let's see. So that was a link inside the budget document.
Wow.
Another example is as an organization chart, which shows how the town is organized. And there's one in particular I think you'll like. Our financial policies that this board has reviewed from time to time, including our fund balance policy, debt policy, purchasing ordinance, investment. These are summaries of each policy. And if you're interested in the full policy, they are down below as attachments. So you can click on the full policy and read through it. So there's a lot of information in here that you wouldn't necessarily be able to present in a budget document. There are, then the section here has a budget overview, including the, just an executive overview of the budget. which gives sort of a summary of the budget. And you have priorities, budget priorities, and issues that existed for this particular budget. The mill rate calculation here, I know you're familiar with that sheet,
Yeah.
and some
Tony,
trends.
Tony, can I ask a question on budget priorities?
Mhm.
You know, we so often have each department's priorities. I'm on my phone, so I can't see it all that well.
So these are overall priorities of our budget, which at the time, which we did, this would
Uh-huh.
go back to like 2021. This is like over a year ago we did these,
Uh-huh.
which
Okay,
is, these are sort of overall
yeah,
priorities.
thank you. Yep.
I wanted to show you, this here. These are some trend information, which, are graphs of each, which we've had in the back of our budget. A lot of this mirrors information that we've had, but as you can see, it's interactive. If we go to fund summaries, this is just a summary of the general fund by year going back to 2012 in total. As you can see, each year it's got the actual revenues, budgeted revenues, so you can sort of follow each year in overall revenue information. And then you go into the detail, go into proper, in this one here. I'm not going to go into each one, but I want to show you sort of how they look. Intergovernmental revenues here, this is state aid basically for the 2022 budget, has a 10-year history of state aid, whether or not it was over budget or in some years under budget. And then it has by department, and then a summary of each grant, major grant. And then of course the detail. So you can sort of
Yeah.
follow all of this.
Tony, can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is wonderful, timely, appropriate, even for an old lady like me. It's exactly what our community needs and wants. But I have a question. So in any given day, does this reflect the adopted budget from the year prior? Is it always is it updated on a budget cycle basis?
So what's going to happen is, so this was our, that's a good question. This was our initial, sort of beginning of this. And it was a lot of setup work we've involved in the initial budget that you put together. So Karen and I wanted to do the adopted budget for our first attempt. So we can learn how it works, learn how, you can get more efficient at it. Our goal is to release one of these for the preliminary budget that will be done in the next few months. So it'll be timely for the budget process. So when residents come to the town meeting, we'll have one of these, but it'll be the preliminary budget for that particular that we're working on. So you'd be able to see the history and then the preliminary budget numbers that you would have in front of you.
Yeah, so I think that's really helpful, because that means that as we engage in each budget cycle, the community is seeing what we're seeing.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. That's very helpful.
And
Thank you.
Eventually, so it's a sort of a 3-step process. The first step, Karen and I sort of entered all the figures and the numbers. The next step is to have departments involved in creating their own pages and entering their own information. For instance, let's go to what's a good one here? It's probably waste management. So waste management has, this is, each department will look like this. And so it has a description of the department, the accomplishments from the prior year, expenditure summary here. So you can see the waste management over the past 10 years. And again, it has budget to actual. And expenditures by type. So just like in the fund summary, it has it for the whole town. This is by this department. So it's got repair and maintenance is obviously the biggest, and because you have tip fees, and that's all included under repairs and maintenance. It's the same information. And then you have the detail. and you have objectives for the next year and goals for that each department has that they're working on. So the case of waste management, we're working on implementing a glass recycling program to separate glass out from the single stream, and also food waste program, which are two items that the town is working on.
So just one other follow-up question to that point. So who's inputting this data?
This data here, or the
In any given moment, who is it the responsibility of your office to make sure that this
currently
data is
right now is the responsibility of Karen and I did all this
Okay.
because it was our first attempt of. We'd like to roll it out to the departments so that the departments could, instead of filling it out on forms, then the forms are sent to us, and then we gotta, upload the forms into a budget book, and it's a lot of time. The idea is to have it in one time, and then we could go through and review it and make corrections. And,
Okay.
and each department should be able. I'll give you another example. The library is a good one.
Sorry, Tony, just out of curiosity, I mean, this looks great, and thank you for doing all this. For those people who, like at the town meetings, are gonna want a budget book, will this make it easier or harder for you to create a paper book at the end?
You can print one. See, there's a print button here. We can actually, anybody can print any portion of this. And we could print the whole thing if we wanted. So we would probably have some printed version, not every little detail, but some printed version of the information so that, if someone didn't have access to it, they can get to it. This is the library. So you can see there's a dip here in 2021 because of COVID.
And
What
that,
I
are you
like
able
about
to-
what I like about what you're presenting is that each department has input, has control over their
That's the
inputted
idea.
pages. So
Right,
it's
that's the
as
idea.
current as they can make it. So that's good.
And there's a portion of this that eventually puts all of this virtually. So when you review the budget, all this comes to you virtually instead of in a binder.
That'd be
That's
great.
that's sort of the last piece of this puzzle is that all of the development material for the budget would be in a similar format. So you'd have it all virtually like this instead of having to dig through it,
And that's a great way to get younger people on the Board of Finance.
Hey, Tony, does this tool allow you to annotate it? So like just going back to the library page that you said,
Mhm.
Is that a way, again, I'm thinking of someone in the town looks at it and says, oh, look, there was a big increase in the library expenditure. Why is that? And if we were able to annotate it, we could say in 2020, I can't remember the year exactly, but call it 2020, that was a COVID year.
Right.
Are you,
I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that.
because again, I'm just trying to figure out a way of educating people so they don't look at this and come away with the wrong information or
Like, wow, what a big increase. Well,
Yeah.
actually, if you look at it over time, it's actually not really an increase at all. See how relatively flat it is?
right. But someone could look at it and say, oh, wow, look how great the town did. They lowered the cost of, the library in that year. And then why they
Right.
jumped back up. And I'm just trying to think ahead to nip some of the questions that people often have in the preliminary meeting.
Yeah, we could look into that, certainly.
So to follow up on that, Karen and Tony, I think this is so great. It's really just such a big leap forward for the town. And I think in the back of all of our minds, and maybe not even the back of our minds, is the town meeting that we had with the people who
Right.
showed up and haven't seen anything. So what I'm wondering, and it's sort of been floated out there a little bit, I wonder, and COVID makes everything so complicated, but I wonder if there's some additional town meeting that we should consider scheduling, or a Board of Finance meeting, inviting the town to show them that this is available to them and walk through it and try to get some of the people out there then to ask their questions. It might diffuse some of that tension at the last minute. And I
Right.
don't, again, it's so everything we do is so complex right now. But just to put that in the thinking as an just like what you're doing for us, a town introduction to this amazing new tool for the budget.
I certainly think that's a good idea. And, one part of the budget process, which we've been reviewing with all of the departments, which we could certainly feature at a meeting like that, is if you were to have a zero increase, how would that impact our operations?
Absolutely, that could be part of it. Show that right then. And I mean, the more we can reach out to people. So if there are, let's say there were 100 people of those people at the meeting who had no idea what was happening, but just were riled up that it was wrong. If if we get 10 of them at one of the other meetings, so they come to a subsequent meeting and say, "Oh wait, we understand that," that would be a big plus.
I have a thought about that. One of the, I mean, I think it's an excellent question. First of all, is how do you disseminate this? But it seems to me that this is tailor-made for our liaison capacities because we all wear all these multiple hats at different boards and commissions, and it's supposed to be a communication role. What's going on? And it often doesn't take on that role, but I think this is an opportunity. And you're talking to the stakeholders in that situation. So Board of Finance liaisons with their commissions have to communicate this. Board of Selectmen liaisons with their boards and commissions have to communicate this. And that's how you get get it seated, if you will, in the larger garden of the town.
And I tell the departments, this is your opportunity to
Right.
sell your budget, to say, well, why do you need, Eric, $787,000 to run a library? And this is an opportunity to put some of that information in here in terms of what your objectives are, what your goals are, how you can help I mean, this is just the sort of the beginning.
I'll tell Eric not to take offense at the way you put that.
It applies to all the departments, of course. Here's our 6-year capital plan. It has, of course, has the first year, which is the first year of the plan, and it has the requested items, and then the funding sources,
Mhm.
and then it has each project, so you can read on each project. Click on it. What's an AMCUS tool? This is an AMCUS tool. Here's how much it costs. Eventually, we'd like to have pictures in here, a little description, this gives you a description of what it is, how it
So I
works.
hope it's not inappropriate to say this, but I sort of get the feeling this is like porn for Tony. He's so happy.
Here's
glad
the
you're happy,
6-year
Tony.
plan in total. Okay, let me do one more thing, then I'm going to stop. I promise. This is the debt service, and it has our debt, government-wide debt in total here, and then it has it by
Is it done?
type. So here's all the different debt issuances that we have. So that's it.
It's great, Tony and Karen. It's just great.
So we're
Thank
hopeful
you so
to.
much.
Yeah, I agree. If you had to print this out, I imagine this would be a 60-page printout or something like that, right?
Tony, you're on mute.
You're muted, Tony.
It's not necessarily formatted for printing, so it's not going to look as fancy
Yeah.
as because it's formatted for this computer, but you can print it. We've sampled with a few.
Is there a way to add like a variance analysis? I think somebody alluded to something. I guess that would,
For
like, if something went up or down, you just explain it. There's a column to explain it.
I would say we can probably do that on a macro level. Probably for each line item would be very time consuming, but we can certainly do that like for larger items.
Exactly, the material stuff.
Material, right? Yeah, we can do that at a section. The good thing about this is we can add, there's really no limit to what you can add to it.
I just have one more question.
Mhm.
Presumably, this is software that all communities are taking advantage of. I mean, we're not the only. I mean, this is
I'm aware of
software that's
3.
available.
For this particular company, I'm aware of there's 3 or 4 in Connecticut. Yes.
Who are using it?
Not a, yeah.
Okay, and it's just Connecticut or it's
No,
applied?
it's
to-
nationwide.
It's
There's a lot of them. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of them out in Midwest and in the West. If you go on their website, you can see all the
Okay.
towns that do it.
Well, I think it's helpful to know that because it's a little bit like, this is the wave of the future. This is where we're going with this. This is how this stuff is done. It's very nice, very good.
I
Thank
was
you.
always somewhat frustrated with the fact that the book is, it's just it's pages. It just didn't seem like it was interactive enough. And so when this came out, we
Do
were-
you have a sense as to when where you're going to be feeling comfortable releasing it to the?
hopefully next week. I just have a few more tweaks to do, and then we'll have it live up on our website.
This
So if you go through it and you see any adjustments or things you want to add or changes, just let us know. This is a work in progress.
Great.
Are we gonna
Okay.
use this for our first meeting on December 2nd? Or are we gonna use something else? Are we gonna use this format for our first budget?
No, we're not at that point yet. Hopefully next year. Next
No,
year.
I was just curious, that's all. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Question.
Okay, item 7 is return to in-person meetings, discussion. I'm sure at this point in time, well, based on what you're telling me, the capital budget meetings, we probably should do virtual. Is that what you're saying?
If you want to, yeah, well, we'd have to find a spot.
Look for another location and it's
Right.
crazy. Yeah. Let's and of course our December meeting is, we've gone this far. So it's December 16th, I believe. We'll do that virtual. Beyond that, I don't know what people want to do. I don't know if we can really look. I really would hate to do the budget itself, but you know what? If COVID keeps wrapping its arms around us, I guess we might have to. But any feelings, anybody, everybody?
If I can propose, I think you're right that for the rest of this year, we do virtual and then let's just see what the status is. I think this is one of those moving targets and we may just have to, maybe we can, email each other or whatever at some point to
Yeah,
give
let's
people
see.
enough heads up. I vote we do it as a moving target and see how
Yeah.
things go. Hope for the best.
Is anybody
January
opposed to
20th
that?
is January 20th is your January meeting. So if you wanted to decide for the budget hearings, those are the following week,
Right. Well, we'll talk about it at our December meeting.
December. Yeah.
I just
Anybody?
wanted to add, one of the things that would be helpful is when we talk about it in December, if we can have a sense of what the options are. Because even though it's going to be cold, if we can have a meeting I have to say the firehouse was the best place because of, you can open it up. It's cold, but people can be there. But I mean, to the extent that we talked about this a little bit before, that we have in-person meetings and we don't know if people are even, it's not just the board and commission members, it's the members of the public. And we don't know if they're vaccinated or if, maybe Beth, I don't know if you're going to speak to this, what the options are of each commission saying and I don't know if we should vary it. Like you can only come to our commission if you're vaccinated, but you can go to this other commission whether or not you're vaccinated. I feel like that maybe there should be a townwide policy. If the board decides to do in person, how do you do it? I mean, it's a very tricky question. I don't mean to put it on you, Beth, but it's very hard to know. And I certainly agree with Tom that we're not ready right now to go to in person with all the ramifications and the issues that are tied to it.
Can I just add to what Ellen's saying? It's not just the public and the boards, it's also staff
Yeah.
and their concerns. And I think that all has to
Yep.
be considered.
And I think if I can say, I think the other thing, having been sitting in some of the hybrid meetings, because I'm not sure when we're going to be able to go to, change from all virtual to all in person. But if we decide that we're going to do, in person and we decide that we need to have a hybrid model, which I think we might need to, then we have to really make sure we have the technology in place to do the hybrid, because some of the meetings that I've been at that are hybrid are not working well. And that may factor into our consideration to just say, while we may be comfortable, we may figure out a way of doing it in person. If there are people in town who are not comfortable and we have to provide them a hybrid, we better make sure that the hybrid works, because otherwise we're going to
Mhm.
open up another can of worms that I really don't want the town to go through. So that's just another thing to think about. And Tony, Beth, I don't know if there's any talk, in town hall about how to actually conduct a useful hybrid meeting. And that may be something we have to look at as well before we make a decision.
I'll speak to it when it's time for me to talk. I've got a
Okay,
lot.
yeah, just speak under your report. Karen, you would be involved in this. I think you expressed to me it's really difficult to do both.
It is. And I had a discussion with Pua today, and she said hybrid is very labor intensive and it hasn't been working well anywhere that she has seen.
Okay.
So would it be inappropriate for Beth to jump in here now and just,
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, next is,
Hold on,
next
I
is
just
first
wanna
select
have-
report, so
Oh.
go ahead.
I know, that's a good segue, Ellen. I was just sort of waiting for everyone to finish your discussion, but very good. Thank you so much. We had a discussion at the Board of Selectmen meeting last week about this, and last week was looking a little bit more positive than I think things are in Connecticut this week. Clearly, statewide, Woodbridge is still in the gray zone. We've been there for 2-3 weeks now. Prior to that, we were yellow, and we had Tony and I and Betsy had a discussion about a month ago that if we have 3 weeks in yellow and or gray, which is the best, obviously, we would allow boards and commissions to begin to talk about whether or not they would like to return to in-person meetings. There are several boards and commissions that meet. They never have public comment. They never have folks joining. Board of Selectmen is a total different animal where there's a potential for, I guess, a capacity in the main meeting room is 55. So we could have potential for 40 people, 45 people showing up in the room with us. And there's a great deal of concern on most of the members of the Board of Selectmen with public comments. So we talked a little bit about perhaps doing the Amity model where the board is in the room and then we allow people to come in. Jerry Weiner, town council, said that we were allowed to ask folks to prove vaccination. And they come in and they say their public comment and then they leave. And kind of, I guess there'll have to be someone regulating at the door, which is another staff issue, but we'll figure that out as we go. So we decided to leave it. We'll let you know as of our meeting December 8th. In the meantime, there was one positive case in Woodbridge that was reported today, which they're running about a week late. Prior to that, I think maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, there have been no positive cases in Woodbridge. There is obviously some concern about some of the Board of Selectmen members that we're heading into the cold winter months in Delta. And as Tony said, the main meeting room is not equipped for ventilation, things like that. Folks want to see these meetings live. It really can't go anywhere to do live. And to sort of talk a little bit about the Woodbridge Board of Education meeting last Monday. I don't know if you were on that one, Tom. It was a 5-hour meeting, it was a hybrid meeting. And there was an echo that just continued to the point where after 3 hours, I had a headache. I just was trying to listen to the voices and it was, the technology isn't there yet. So I do agree with, what Karen had talked about, that, it's a problem. So we had originally, as I said, leave it up to the boards and commissions, and several of them are comfortable because there's 5 or 6 members and they're in the room and the board meeting, they open the windows and nobody ever comes in, they have their meeting and they leave. So several of them can tell you that we're looking to have our first department head meeting, which is the department heads of the town of Woodbridge, come to a meeting. It will be, I think there's 12 of us, Tony, something like that. And we will separate in the room, 6 at the table, the horseshoe, and then 6 in the back separated, open the windows. And I sent out an email today through Jerry Shaw asking folks how they feel about that. But again, I don't have the answer. I don't have I personally am, the nurse in me wants to everybody stay home until at least we're allowed to be there till doing these all virtual until April of 2022, unless things get better. So it's something that's just, I don't know what the answer is. And you guys have to decide on your own. You don't really have public comment to speak of. You might, obviously, once the budget meetings pick up. So that's just sort of my comments on that. I'll continue with my report and then we can do questions at the end if you guys have anything. So we did receive, you may have heard that the board, I personally received a quote unquote unsafe order from building inspector Andy Rizzo regarding the former Country Club of Woodbridge clubhouse. Brad Parsons, our building maintenance foreman, had a lot of concerns that vandals continue to get in there. We had put up Jersey barriers. We had tried to have increased police presence. And because there's no electricity, it's dark, kids were just breaking in left and right. We were concerned. There is, I believe, in one of the rooms, if you ladies remember the ladies' card room over there, it's about 4 inches of moss throughout the whole room. It's a winter wonderland over there. It's a very scary place. So I can assure you that the building is not in danger of falling down. It's not that kind of safety. It's just a matter of vandals continuing to break in and continue to break in. So Brad and the Public Works team came up with some plans, went over there again with Andy. They did, maybe Tony could talk a little bit more about what they did. But we went ahead and put in a lot of that. We're having UI put in what is called.
They put in, I could tell you what they did. They cleaned the place up. If you've been there, they did a lot of, they cleaned up the leaves and they did a lot of weed whacking, and it really made it look very presentable. We've made it easier for the police to get back there to do regular patrols. They've secured the building even more secure than it was previously. And we are going to install Light the Night, which are floodlights that will light up the area at night. So they're photosensitive, or for photocells, so that when the sun goes down, the lights go on, and then when the sun comes up, the lights go off.
Right.
So it'll shine a lot of light on the area. So we think with all those improvements, and finally, maintenance will have to make a regular trip over there, probably once a day or once every other day, to see if anything has been compromised.
Continue to secure it as often as needed.
So it's an ongoing process. It's nothing you can just do once and then leave. It's something that they have to do on an ongoing basis.
But I did receive another letter from Andy Rizzo, and I can assure you that number one, the building again is not in danger of collapsing. A couple of folks came to public comments virtually, and we're concerned that this was a way to get us to tear it down, and it was not. We just had to deal with this, and now we have a release, not a release letter, but that Andy Rizzo is now comfortable with what we've done. So we're not being required to do anything further at this point. But I'll keep you updated if things change on that.
Hey, Beth, one thing, can I ask Tony quick? If anybody breaks into the club and gets hurt or whatever it is, who's liable?
We are liable.
Yep.
So the town is liable. So if anybody gets in there and say falls down the stair or whatever it is and gets severely hurt, then we're liable for that.
Exactly.
That's correct.
That's why we want to make it so they can't get in.
Right. I'm just curious. That's all. So.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for that, Dwight.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So just a couple fun things on the economic side. We've had a couple of ribbon cuttings.
Hang on a second. I just want to follow up on what Dwight said. I apologize for interrupting, but
worries.
I'm assuming it's a crime if you break into this building.
Yeah.
Correct? So I just want the public to be aware and kids to be aware. You can go there and you can fall down the stairs, but you will be charged. There is the likelihood you will be charged with trespass or criminal mischief. It's a crime. So people just need to keep that in mind.
I love the lawyer in you, my friend. Thank you for that.
It's actually the Jewish mother, but go ahead.
Either one, it's wonderful. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's good. So we had a couple of businesses come into town. A couple did a couple of ribbon cuttings, one at the new wine store and also a new facial, eyelash, eyebrow, aesthetics for women came in. I'm sure you've all heard that the New England Brewery has decided to leave. That's unfortunate. They have a 2-year lease with Woodbridge. However, I had a meeting yesterday, and I guess this is hot off the presses, with State Senator James Maroney, State Rep Mary Welander, and also State Senator George Carrera. And apparently there may be another brewery that's interested, depending on the timing. It's a startup brewery. It's not as big as Nebco got, but maybe in the Nebco several years ago in their initial stages might be interested in using that space. So we lose one and we get another one. So, because there's, I can't remember the name of it, Great Falls or something, Tony, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
So it isn't maybe a total disaster and they will be here for a while. And they still have all of the hoops and bells and whistles to go through, and boards and commissions in West Haven. So we'll see. Stay tuned. But I
Yeah, I
feel
can say that. Don't just deem it that this is West Haven you're talking about.
good
Needless
point.
to say, we've all heard about West Haven, but that building, I mean, I know it very well, and they're talking about a huge building that's, you're gonna have 1,000 people that can, there's not enough parking. So, I mean, West Haven wants it, and let's see what happens. West Haven's got.
I agree with you. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
They got plenty of problems they're dealing with, so I wouldn't
believe
just,
it's
I
a
wouldn't just cast it in
50,000
stone just yet.
square foot building. They're looking to build a 60,000 square foot
Yeah,
building.
I mean, if you've ever been over there, you should tell me where.
Yeah,
Tell me
I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a landmark.
One location for a brewery on the ocean and blah, 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 blah. But, I just don't see, based on what I've read about the size of the place and the number of people, I mean, I don't see where they're gonna be able to do it over there. But again, West Haven, throws out the welcome mat, but let's see what happens.
We will see.
Yep.
So just sort of getting back to some of the earlier questions regarding this wonderful proposal that Tony and Karen did, which I thank both of them again. It's marvelous. I played with it a little bit, and I'm kind of scary with computers, and it was fairly easy for me, so that was a good thing. I have, over the last 6 months, maybe now it's been 6 months since the annual town meeting, endeavored to use the Woodbridge Town News, the monthly newsletter that goes to every mailbox, my monthly e-news, or sometimes bi-monthly e-news, my speeches at every single Board of Selectmen meeting, and now I'm going to do another one at the Board of Finance meeting, these PSAs, saying to these folks who have concerns or questions or want to get involved in the budget process, begin to show up at the budget meetings of the boards and commissions. Look online. Come into town hall. We will help you. We will, you have to get involved now. And this is, I guess, another PSA to those folks that are listening this evening. I kind of did a little mini survey from the Board of Selectmen last week about, as a liaison, and asked all of their, have you heard of any members of the public attended any board or commission meetings that they liaise to in the, I don't know if that's a verb, liaise, but anyway, Zippo. So, I don't know what else to do. I'm saying it every chance I get. If you go to your meetings and say it again and encourage folks to use this perhaps new tool in our toolbox to get folks to be interested, so that we don't have people showing up at the last minute. It's okay. I mean, the preliminary, I'm not adverse to that, but I think if people want to participate, now is the time. Get involved in these, especially when the operating budgets are being developed, which are due, I guess, the end of December, early January, something like that. So that's, yeah. So I think other than that, I'm just, asking everyone to please talk to everyone you see and ask them to be invited and join in the budget process. Now is the time. So with that, any other questions for me about anything?
Anybody have a question? Okay, thank you, Beth.
I just wish everybody, I know we're not closing, but a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe. And I'm in the Catskills. Yay. All my family for 2 years, but haven't seen them all together. So I'm just excited. Okay.
Okay, liaison reports. I had a meeting at Amity on November 8th. Honestly, it was very, very quick. Nothing special going on, nothing earth shattering. They still have a surplus of, give me a second here, about $374,000, which didn't change much at all. Everything's going good. Again, the big thing is they're going to put their budget together and see what they come up with. So we will keep you posted on that, but so far no indication of what their budget is going to be. But as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know. Okay, next, Susan, you have anything? You're mute.
There you go. Okay, sorry. I wasn't able to make the library meeting, but I did, I do know that they are, this is important for the public to know, they've gone back to scheduling their meetings now at 6 o'clock as opposed to 6:30. They are undergoing some internal reorganization in terms of their various committees. From a capital point of view, I mean, it's carpet, and it's not the first time that that's come up. I just want to add very quickly to something that Beth said, that whether people participate late in the game or get involved early in the game. In either case, it must be civil and it must be courteous to their fellow citizens. I just want to put that out there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Dwight.
Okay, I wasn't able to attend the rec commission meeting on October 25th because we were all at that alternate housing meeting, so I wasn't there. I did attend Human Services on November 1st. They were working on their budget, on the capital budget, which the commission at the meeting. One thing they're looking to do is to replace a vehicle. There's one that's from 07 that the PD had that they gave to Human Services to use. So they're looking to replace that. They're also excited to have an HVAC system installed in Center School in their space for Human Services. That'll help with the COVID relief and the air circulation. And I know it's on the town's radar. I've heard Beth talk about it. They had a health fair. They held a health fair on October 28th with 14 vendors and about 75 people showed up. They're also currently helping updated the seniors with their Medicare enrollment process, and it's basically a one-on-one. So anybody who is interested, they call them and they go in and they help them enroll or update their coverage. And also the Amity students are also helping some of the seniors with computers, laptops, and how to use smartphones and all that to get everybody up to speed. I think they were scheduled to have a Thanksgiving drive-through luncheon today. And I'm assuming that happened. And they have a newsletter that's going out, and they hit about 3,500 households per month, which is really good. They did some clinics for some booster shots and some flu clinics. The booster shots were done on November 4th and 13th. They're working on baskets for holiday baskets. Right now, they have about 35 to 40 families, which is up quite a bit from last year. So they're looking for help for there. And then the renovation update. They're waiting for the state of Connecticut to move forward with the $300,000 bond. Tony, I don't know if there's any update on that, but.
So I just heard from the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, which is the agency that's going to be doing that, yesterday. So
Was that is almost to go, or?
Well, yeah. So now there's two different agencies involved. So I just have to coordinate that a little, and then we'll start working on it. So hopefully in the next, right after the Thanksgiving, we'll start start working on it.
And then with the other thing you mentioned, I guess there were some septic issues at the child care center. Some of the toilets were overflowing, and they were concerned, and they wanted to know, was it going to get fixed? When was it going to get fixed, and whatever. So that was the only other question they had. And I'm done. So Tony, you want to? I don't know. Is that something we can?
The issue is there's some old pipes that we're going to replace, but the toilets up in the child care center are little toilets, and so I think we're going to replace them with larger ones so they don't overflow as quickly. That's essentially the issue.
That works. All righty. Let's see, Ellen.
I missed the police commission meeting, so I have no report.
Okay. Next, Donovan.
At the October 25th meeting, so the firehouse gets cleaned I think maybe twice a week for does COVID cleaning and stuff. And they submitted for federal reimbursement, which is we should be expecting $30,000 approximate reimbursement in terms of the COVID cleaning. And the issue of the truck came up again. I think they voted unanimously to go forward and purchase a new truck. I think the one they want to replace has about 16 months left on it, give and take. Takes about 2 years to build and design a truck, and I think the next step is to get I think Board of Selectmen approval, and Tony they may reach out to you at some point to shop financing options.
So what they're gonna do is they're gonna present the possibility of a new piece of apparatus to replace an existing truck that's probably 26, 27 years old.
Yep.
And they're gonna present that information at their capital budget hearing, so both boards can hear it at the same time, ask any questions, and then each board will review the approval, Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance in their December meetings. Assuming you want to move forward with it, that is.
That's all I have.
Okay. And last but not least, the Board of Education, Tom.
I was hoping to just stay on mute so I didn't have to do this, but so there's lots going on. Number of you probably have already heard, and what Matt was alluding to is that they are currently projecting, and Tony, you have to correct me if I misspeak, but they are currently projecting $171,000 deficit for the year. Most of which has come from benefits, medical insurance that they started the year off with, realizing that they were $345,000 in the red. Talking to Richard and Jonathan, it appears, and hopefully I'm not misspeaking, that due to the way that the budget works, that we approved the budget in June, they have to make some assumptions about new hires and what they will take for insurance. And I think that they do the best they can, but I think that's where some of this deficit came in place. They're hoping that they will get that down lower, but we just have to be prepared that that is out there. The other thing is they are working on I think, Tony, they gave you the capital budget requests now. I think it was approved at that marathon Board of Ed meeting.
Yes, we received it, and they'll be out probably, when do you think, Karen, tomorrow? Yeah, all the capital budget requests should be out tomorrow, so you'll get it tomorrow.
Just to give you guys a little bit of an update, they are going to be asking the town to consider a building committee to build a new school. An additional school. I will leave that for the capital budget discussion. That's going on.
Where did that come from? I mean, we passed the biggest bond issue in the history of Woodbridge, I don't know how many years ago, when we renovated that school and told the taxpayers that this would extend the life of Beachy Road School indefinitely into the future. We aren't even maybe a third of the way paying this bond issue off, and they want to put up a new building. Where on earth did that come from? This is out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, Matt. I think that some of this has come out of their ad hoc capital budget committee, and I think that there's concern that about potential overcrowding at the school over the next few years. I think that this get raised up by the potential of some new buildings going on in town. I personally would ask them, and we have asked them, to go back and look at that building committee from prior years. Had a proposal for a new wing. The idea of a whole new school, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess we'll listen to what they have to say, right? We have to keep an open mind.
Oh yeah.
So that's one thing. There's some stuff that they're presenting, and Tony, again, you can probably correct me if I misspeak. There is some issues with the HVAC controller. Again, in my mind, it seems to be that it's pretty new, but they're suggesting that they're having some issues and they may need to replace it for $20,000. And there's some talk about trying to do that within their operational budget of the year. And it was brought up at the Board of Ed meeting. If you're already in the red, how are you switching more stuff into your operational budget for the current year? So I think there's going to be some interesting discussion on that. And then I will just go and say that the finance committee is meeting again to discuss operational budget for next year. I think it could become, how shall I say this, interesting. And again, Tony, correct me. We went to binding arbitration for the teacher's contract, I believe in 2022-23 year. That's when the teachers get their biggest pay
Correct.
raise.
That's correct.
And I think, is it 5% that they're getting or something?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure the amount, but also because with all the step increases and all that, it's higher, I believe. But I don't know the exact percentage.
Yeah, so that's going to be just so you're not shocked when they come to that point. The other thing is that they are hearing, and again, Tony, you're probably hearing the same thing at the town side, that the insurance costs may go up 20%.
And we've gotten more updated information on that. It's not quite that high,
Which is good.
We're hoping considerably less.
And then we all know what's going on with energy costs. So it's, as Matt suggested, it's not a pretty picture right now. And so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully I'll have more to tell you in December after the finance committee meets to talk about the operational budget stuff. Did I miss anything, Tony, that you know about when talking to them
You've pretty much hit all the major items.
So stay tuned, I guess.
Any questions, comments, anything else before this board? None, okay. I will, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you
too, Matt.
on,
Happy
yes.
Thanksgiving. Stay safe.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
We'll see you on TV on December 2nd.
Have a good holiday.
You got it.